SG reads.
Hello fellow travelers, my name's SG and welcome to the channel. Today, since it's the beginning of Christmas season, and I thought that since last year around the same time I did Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I thought this year I would do Santa Claus is Coming to Town, considering that they're both Rankin Bass properties, both iconic cartoons in Christmas time, and I just really like both either way. They've been a part of my childhood for as long as I can remember, and I still continue to watch them even to this day. So, with that being said, let's get started, shall we? If you like this content, please leave a like, comment, subscribe down below. It really helped me out, lets me know that you like this content, and let's continue. Santa Claus is Coming to Town was released in December 13th, 1970 on ABC, where it still continues to be played to this very day. Now, it is the third holiday special that Rankin Bass had done, the first being Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer in 1964, and Frosty the Snowman in 1969. This being said, they decided to go with a different tactic, combining a mix of animation as we see in the special, and of course using a new tactic known as animagic. This is a Japanese stop-motion animation style that relies more on wood and plastic figures, and taking pictures of them from that point on in a more wooden feel for it. And in this case it helped with the idea of them feeling more like toys, or feeling more robotic, or giving them a more whimsical vibe, compared to how we see it in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and of course the animation of Frosty the Snowman. The story that they tell in Santa Claus is Coming to Town is a mix of different sources, if you will, combining both traditional perspectives on the Santa Claus character, along with the title song Santa Claus is Coming to Town, written by Jed Fred Kuntz and Haven Giuseppe for the Leo Feist Inc., and introduced on radio by Eddie Cantor in 1934, this being the main influence for the whole special, and of course the story of St. Nicholas himself. Combining those stories together, they made this being the looser interpretation of what the Santa Claus story is, and would later on be what we all know as the main story so far, and that being Santa Claus, or at least Kris Kringle, being abandoned in the woods by the Meisterburger because he didn't want to raise the child that was left on his doorstep, and was raised by the elves known as the Kringles, changing his name to Kris Kringle. So for the most part that happens to be the storyline going from there on, going back to the city that the Meister was there, and then we see him becoming more of an outlaw, more of a Robin Hood-esque character, giving toys to children in need, or that have to need some happiness in their life. We do know that there is pretty much the crux of the storyline, so for right now I do say go check out the original story if you haven't seen it, but that there is so much more to it, such as the weather wizard implying such good natures can beat bad ones overall, saying that sometimes you just need a little whimsy in your life to have not just a Merry Christmas, but to have a better life period, and the ability to accept others into your life for what they are, and for what you could be later on. So for right now, that would have to be the story of Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Now our voice cast consists of Red Astor as specialty delivery S.D. Klugger. He is our main narrator and is telling the story of Santa Claus himself, in a perspective of giving the knowledge of who Santa Claus is to children. Mickey Rooney as Kris Kringle / Santa Claus, Keenan Wine as the Winter Warlock, who becomes a loyal aide to Santa Claus and does eventually help him along the way, Robbie Lester as Miss Jessica and is Miss Claus, Paul Frees plays a majority of characters such as Burgermeister Meisterburger, Joan Gardner as Tante Kringle, along with several other background characters, and Diane Lin along with several others as, of course, background characters and children. Now, that is the main cast as far as we need to talk about, but they do offer a variety of emotions, offer the tones that you would expect from the characters that they portray, and definitely shows a progression of both being kind of stern, maybe cynical, maybe a little evil looking at some point, such as with the Winter Warlock, but they do end up having a softness to them, giving a character a more depth and more personality than we do see in most specials nowadays, allowing the character not just to be able to be a one-note tune, but rather offering a different perspective on every character along the way. All in all, the voice acting is very well done, very effective, and is very memorable, giving each one its own impression and making you kind of remember how they sound even if you don't see it every year. The animation itself is very well done, very fluid, and does offer a lot to it, allowing it to have some wiggle room here and there, and allowing it to be a little on the sillier side, but this is taking a different direction as we've seen from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, offering a new perspective on the animation as well, giving it a more toy-like substance, giving it more like children playing in a little toy box, imagining these things happening. I think that was done on purpose to really get the idea of just telling a story. And with the animation being so well done, for the time that is, that it still lands today, does still hold up, and can still capture the imaginations of anyone who watches it now. With a storyline that matches that, it is, without a doubt, an instant classic. And even with them being able to risk applying new ways of doing things that they hadn't done before, such as animation and even just the clay figurines, this definitely does give a lot to think about and does kind of give this idea of classic puppetry. So for the most part, very well done, I really enjoy it, and moving on. The music was done by Maury Laws, and the lyrics were done by Jules Bass. Now, usually I do say that when it comes to these, they are very well done, but when it comes to Santa Claus is Coming to Town, they are very well done. Mainly because they are memorable, they can get stuck in your head, and even sometimes when you don't even think about it, they do become not repetitive, but rather on beat. There's something that you can repeat yourself, and even just remember the tone, can even remember the words. That in itself is important when it comes to a special. If even the music doesn't really bother you that much. Like if you go to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which had almost an equal amount of music in it, you can't really remember that many other than a couple of misfits in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Here you can list a few as well, such as My World's About to Change, Taking a First Step, of course, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, or If You Sit on My Lap Today, of course. This one has more memorable music in it that doesn't feel overdone or feel that it's misplaced. There is a lot to it, and it does add to the story, pushing along characters' personalities and emotions. So for the most part, the music is very well done and very catchy and kind of keeps you humming it for a while after. Now, with all that being said, there aren't many references to other materials that are in Santa Claus is Coming to Town, but we do get a small glimpse of like Scrooge from A Christmas Carol making an appearance, and also some world figures and world news that I will not mention right now because I do not want to get into all that. But I will talk about certain things that are referenced from this, such as we do get that this has been a story that's been passed down as a story of Santa Claus for a long time. We even know it with modern animation just such as Claus, constantly telling the story and even telling the story of the delivery man himself in a way, in shape or form. But the biggest one has to be, this is almost an iconic scene straight to the Santa Claus movie starring Tim Allen. The Tim Allen Santa Claus movies have used this storyline, or at least the outline, in bits and pieces throughout their movies. A little bit for the first one, a lot for the second, and a little for the third, and you could just map it out and find that the Winter Warlock is Jack Frost in the third. The relationship between him and Mrs. Claus in Santa Claus Coming to Town is referenced in the second Santa Claus movie, and a lot of what we see in the first one is the origins of kind of the first Santa Claus movie as well. Not many in the first one, but you can definitely see it appearing as well. But those are only a handful of things I can point out. The story of Santa Claus from this special has grown, has increased, even launching into kind of a little bit more into the minds of all that have come after. Anybody that's grown up with it has that idea of Santa in their mind. Even you can say it in the Rise of the Guardians, you can see that kind of style still going. So this is going to be a reference that's going to keep going and increasing the mythology of Santa overall. Santa Claus is Coming to Town is definitely a Christmas staple, has been referenced and has been reused several times, so much so that you can't go a year without at least hearing a form of it in some way, shape, or form, whether it be through the original special itself or one of its various kind of ancestors, if you will. But we've all seen it in one way, shape, or form, whether it be this or another way. Santa Claus will still continue to go on, this being the base of what Santa Claus is, just a caring person who gives gifts to those in need or those who need it, changing the hearts of millions and inspiring those in the future to come. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe down below. I'd really appreciate it. If you have something to say, if you have a favorite Christmas special or a Christmas film that you want me to cover, please leave it down in the comment section. I'd really like to hear it. Thanks again for watching. I hope you all have a great day, and see you guys next time. Good one.